This video covers the capturing of your system defaults. The defaults are parameters or rules that you would like used right throughout your ProText software. To capture the defaults, go into Administration and then into ProText System Defaults. The defaults program consists of 4 screens. You are only going to capture information into 2 screens within this video. The first screen, registered as, is the name of your school as given by the ProText software. Library status, open for business, means that anyone can use ProText across your school network. Closed for stock take means that only the username system can use ProText, and temporarily closed means that only the user textbook can use the ProText software. Normally you would operate in open for business. These next lines here refer to the street address of your school, then the postal address of your school. You then fill in the names of your librarians. Please press enter to move between any field. At the bottom here, you would see the name of the ProGen support person and their cell phone number. At the top of the screen, you will see an expiry date and an enabling code. These you would complete once a year. On the anniversary date of your purchasing ProText, you would receive from ProGen the next year's expiry date and the enabling code, and you would fill in those 2 numbers in those 2 fields and then click on Save to move to the second ProText screen. This screen is really important as it defines most of the parameters, the system defaults that you're going to have to use throughout ProText. The default year is the year in which you are operating, in which you are issuing or returning books. Please press enter to move between each of the parameters. Language. This is the language most used in your school. Next automatic accession number is made up of 2 fields, the year and the number. What it is the number that will be given, the next number that will be given to any book that you create inside ProText. Normally, if you are operating or starting in the year 2019, it would be saying 19.1, meaning the first book you create would have an accession number of 19.1. But in this case, the system was saying 62, which meant that there were already 61 books created inside ProText with the numbers 19.1 through to 1961. So the next number available is 1962. If you start in the library and have already captured books into another piece of software and want to start with the last number used in that software, you would put those numbers into these 2 fields here. ProText allows you to fine pupils if they bring back their books late. If you want to use the fine system, you tick these fields. If you don't want to use them, you untick it. So if I untick the field, then all the attributes for fines will be taken away. But I'll say, yes, I want to fine people. What fine would I like to fine them? R1 per day. Do you want to use the auto fine delete option? If you leave it empty, you can't delete any fines. They must be paid. If you tick it, it allows the librarian to actually override the fine system and allow fines to be deleted. So, for example, if a member has 10 rands worth of fines and they come in and to return books but only have 8 rand and they paid 8 rand on the fines, the librarian can tell the system to automatically delete the other 2 rand. Do you want to print fine slips? You can print fine slips when you are issuing books. You can print fine slips when you're returning books. The fine slip shows the library member how much they owe the library and what the fines were incurred for. When you're returning books, there are certain error messages that you can ignore. If you want to ignore that the person has fines, then tick the field. If you want to ignore that a book has been weeded that is now being returned, tick the field. ProText allows you to put photographs against each of your library members. If you want to use the photographs, then you can use one of 2 formats, JPEG or bitmap. If you're not going to use photographs, then click on Photos Not Used. Now the system would know that there is no photograph available for a particular member. Throughout ProText, when you print out reports or letters, then the format that you use for the name of one of your library members can be decided by yourself. You have many options. You can choose any one of these, whether it goes from the person's first name to their surname, right the way through to whatever you want to use. In most schools, the option format 4 is used, the surname of the person followed by their first names. Default sex is that sex which is most prevalent in your school. If you have an all-male school, then just put in males. If you have an all-female school, then put in females. If you have a mixed one, decide which of the males or the females are most in your school and use that option. The next field down is print issued letters on entry. When you issue books to a pupil, you can decide whether you're going to print out a letter right there and then that will tell them or their parents what books you've issued to them and the value of those books. But there is another option, and that is to print out the letters in bulk at a later stage once you have issued all the books to the pupils at the start of the year. You can decide whether you're going to print on entry or print later on. We'll say print on entry. Do you want to allow bulk returns? Bulk returns is when you are going to return books, but you do not want the system to check who the member is, or what class they're from, or anything. You just want to scan them in as fast as possible. Bulk returns is quite useful. For example, at the end of the year, when the grade 10s have finished capturing or doing their geography exams, you might want to return all the geography books. Then you could just simply have a pile of geography books and just scan the barcodes of every single one of them, and you've done a bulk return of all your geography books. So to allow bulk returns, click on that particular field there. Do you want to use price on issue letters? Whenever you issue a letter, it can have on it a number of prices for the books that have been given to the person. Normally schools would use replacement cost, but you do have other options in the background. When you issue books, it is normally issued for a default number of days. In this case, 300. So 300 days from the date of issue is when you would expect that book to come back. But sometimes books are issued in the middle of the year, and you still want them to come back on a certain date. So it is possible to put in a default return date. So now, in the year 2019, any book that is issued will normally be issued for 300 days, but if 300 days falls outside the academic year, it will automatically default to it coming back on the 30th of the 11th, 2019. When you're issuing books, there is a facility where you can have ProText warn you that the number of books for the particular title that you're issuing are getting low. If you want to have it tell you as soon as there are only 10 books left, and therefore you need to order more, put in 10 into this particular field here. You can use any number you want. Warn when damages reach. In this case, it's got 3. What it means is ProText will check the number of books that a pupil has damaged in the lifetime that they are at your school. So if they get to the stage where you're about to issue them books or return books from them, and they already have exceeded this number of damages, the system would warn you to check the books being issued or returned to this pupil, and to possibly give them a verbal warning that you now know that they're damaging far too many books. Do you use stock numbers? If you're bringing ProText across from another system, you might have used a different numbering system in your other system. And now you would like to record on your books ProText accession number for the book, its barcode for the book, and also record the stock number for that particular book, your old stock number. If you do want to use the old stock numbers, then tick this field. Old stock numbers can be used when you're issuing or issuing or returning books inside ProText. It can also be used when you are just updating information about a particular book. Or, and normally you would use this, you would use the accession number of the ProText book or its barcode number. We'll say we're not using stock numbers. To change all of your titles to all of your books into capitals, you can tick this field. Some schools find it easier to work in capitals. Others would like the titles of their books to be as they were printed. It is your choice. Are member addresses required? It is possible within ProText for you to put in the address of the parents, or in the case of colleges, maybe the address of the particular student, so that you can contact them by letter or by email at a later stage. If you want to use it, then tick the field, and when you put in a person, additional screens will pop up asking you for their member address details. Do you use pre-printed barcodes? Some schools have already had barcodes printed, and the numbers on those barcodes might bear no resemblance to the accession number given by ProText. Normally in ProText, the accession number and the barcode number are identical. If you want to use pre-printed barcodes, then you can tick this field here, and now ProText would know to check that for a particular accession number, its barcode does not have to be exactly the same. And then some schools want to be able to know that against a particular title, the website addresses of the suppliers for those particular titles. It's usually used in a costing situation. Not many schools use this, but if you do want to use the facility, tick on this particular field. This completes all the fields, all the parameters for screens 1 and 2. And that is the end of this particular video. What you would do to save this information is click on the Save button, and you would move on to the third screen, which we will discuss in the next video.